Let me tell you about the morning I realized peace in America's mountains is a myth if the wrong person gets your address. Picture this, it's 700 a.m. I'm barely awake, and a woman I'd never met comes storming up my gravel driveway wielding a clipboard and a shiny fake badge, yelling loud enough to wake the dead. "I have the authority to seize your house for HOA violations," she shouts, like she's rehearsing for a community theater production of Cops. Right then, I knew our so-called slice of paradise was about to become the set for the wildest neighborhood showdown you've ever heard of. You know what I mean. See, my wife Amara and we'd worked our whole lives for this place. 3 acres, a log cabin, nothing but pines and mountain air for miles. We paid cash. We played by the rules, or at least the rules as we understood them, since the HOA had been dissolved years before we moved in. We thought we'd finally found a place where nobody cared what color your skin was as long as you mowed your yard. Yeah, that lasted all of 2 months tops. Enter Rebecca. She's not just any busybody. She's the kind who starts wars over mailbox heights. Apparently dissolving the HOA just gave her more time to come up with creative new rules and imaginary authority. Fake violation notices for tall grass threats over our house, color you name it. If it could be written on a piece of paper, Rebecca wrote it, her personal favorite, demanding we pay community fees to her made-up Mountain View HOA. I mean, the audacity. But my wife, bless her heart, was about 3 steps ahead the whole time. While Rebecca was busy harassing anyone who wasn't on her approved neighbor list, Amara was on the forums and the records digging deep. One night she comes to me grinning and says, "Tyler, did you know your friend Rebecca's wanted in Madison County?" Turns out our neighborhood's self-appointed sheriff had an actual arrest warrant out. So what do? Amara calls the cops, sets the stage, and waits. Saturday morning. Just as the coffee finishes brewing, Rebecca shows up again, dragging along an older neighbor for backup. Poor lady, looked like she was about to faint. Clipboard in hand, fake badge gleaming. Rebecca starts inspecting our place, measuring things, snapping photos, and handing Amara a bill for $800 in landscape violations. The best part, Amara plays the part of the confused homeowner, asking all the right questions, letting Rebecca hang herself with her own rope. 20 minutes later, just as Rebecca's feeling victorious, Amara calmly pulls out a folded paper and says, "You might want to take a look at this before you leave. The Madison County Sheriff's Department is looking for you." Rebecca goes pale, eyes wide mouth open, a complete transformation from HOA queen to deer in headlights. And right on cue, 2 patrol cars pull into our driveway. The officers walk up, take the warrant from Amara, and suddenly the game's over. Rebecca starts screaming about setups and conspiracies while they cuff her and read her rights. You could almost hear the neighbor's jaws hitting the porch floor. But it wasn't just the arrest. One of the cops opens Rebecca's bag and finds 23 blank violation notices, a fake Mountain View HOA seal, and a list of addresses labeled targets. Turns out Rebecca had been running a con, not just here, but over in Oak Ridge, too. The cops are taking photos, calling in backup, treating it like a real operation. Then right before she's stuffed into the patrol car, Rebecca yells into her phone, "Marcus, they know, clean everything up," and the call gets cut. Marcus! That's when I remember a gray Honda Civic I'd seen outside her place every Sunday. Suddenly, this whole thing goes from one nutty neighbor to something way bigger. You'd think getting arrested would slow Rebecca down. Nope. 2 days after making bail, she starts up again, only now she's got Marcus Cooper, her so-called financial advisor, in tow. Turns out Marcus lost his accountant license for fraud years back, and now he's Rebecca's muscle. That same day, anonymous letters show up under our door, accusations about illegal businesses, noise complaints, even claims were tied to drug activity. I mean, the creativity, right? Most folks would be scared off by that much crazy. Not Amara. My wife gets busy collecting evidence, screenshots, call logs, every threatening letter, every bogus violation. Then out of nowhere, we get an anonymous note. Rebecca did this in Oak Ridge. The Santos family had to move. Check Mountain Valley Community Board, also fake. A friend. Now we know it's not just us. Amara connects with Maria Santos, who tells her how Rebecca and Marcus ruined her family's life. False emails, government reports, Fake immigration accusations, the works. Maria's husband lost his job. They paid over $1 and $400 in fees, then had to move. It was textbook extortion. Just when I'm starting to feel like maybe we're out of our depth, an older neighbor, Mrs. Cooper, shows up at our door with a fat manila envelope. She's got receipts, literally. Fake notices from Rebecca, canceled checks, photos, lists of priority actions for every minority family in the neighborhood. I've watched her target every family who wasn't white, Mrs. Cooper says, shaking. Her folder is basically a case file on Rebecca's operation timelines. Escalation notes, everything. Now we've got witnesses and proof. Meanwhile, Marcus tries to sneak into Rebecca's house while she's in jail. Cops think he's looking for something important. Then we start getting threatening texts. We know everything about you. Expect a surprise. Tire tracks and cigarette butts by our mailbox. Yeah, we're being watched. But Amara, she's not scared. She's pissed. They think they can run us out like they did the others, she says. Not this time. Then in a stroke of genius, Amara calls Rebecca, puts on her best defeated voice, and suggests settling outside court. Rebecca takes the bait, agrees to meet at the prosecutor's office, thinking she's finally won. But Amara's already looped in the authorities, has Maria Santos flying in as a witness, and brings every scrap of evidence we've collected. At the meeting, Rebecca and Marcus roll in looking like the world's most arrogant legal team, threatening lawsuits, waving forged documents, even pulling the race card, claiming Amara's an immigrant with fraudulent documents. Amara just nods, then asks Rebecca, "Are you a licensed HOA manager?" Silence. Then she plugs in her laptop projects, all the evidence, fake organizations, forged emails, years of fraud, Maria's video testimony. Rebecca and Marcus fall apart. The prosecutor walks in holding a USB drive with 4 years of incriminating emails, plans, and racial targeting. Marcus, desperate to save himself, spills everything about other communities they hit: Cedar Falls, Pine Ridge, Oak Ridge. It's organized, it's systematic, and it's fueled by racism disguised as community preservation. Police get a warrant, raid Rebecca's bank vault, and find a second USB, her community preservation project. It's horrifying: spreadsheets tracking neighborhood racial makeup, target lists, before and after photos of families driven out, diary entries dripping with hate. She wasn't just about money. She wanted to engineer neighborhoods to push out anyone who didn't fit her character standards. Control was the point. Even after being exposed, Rebecca's lawyer calls us, blames us for destroying the community, but the numbers say otherwise. Property values are up, crime is down. The only thing declining is her influence. The trial becomes national news. Amara testifies with courage and grace, reading Rebecca's own words about making life difficult until they leave. The jury hears about families uprooted, jobs, lost kids, forced out of school. Marcus confesses Rebecca spent $45,000 just to keep certain families outmade, $78,000 in 4 years, but it was never about profit. It was about keeping Mountain View as white as possible. Rebecca tries to justify herself in court, ranting about protecting property values. The jury isn't buying it. They convict her on every count: hate crimes, conspiracy, fraud, harassment. She gets 18 years in federal prison, $500,000 in restitution, lifetime ban from community boards, mandatory diversity education. Marcus gets 6 years in probation for flipping on her. But the real justice news of Rebecca's conviction inspires other neighborhoods to investigate their own enforcers, and within months, copycats start falling all over the country. A year later, Mountain View is thriving. New families move in: black, brown, white, Asian, everyone together. Property values are up 20%. Kids play together. In our backyard, neighbors actually know each other's names, and nobody's banging on our door with fake rules. One day, a nervous young black family moves in down the street looking worried until Amara welcomes them with a smile and Mrs. Cooper brings fresh cookies. For the first time in years, the place feels like a real community. Rebecca, she's still in prison, appealing, refusing to participate in diversity programs. But the world's moved on. She lost. You know, people like her think they can use fear to control who belongs. But when good folks unite, fight back, document the truth, and refuse to back down, well, hate doesn't stand a chance. So tell me, what would you have done if Rebecca came for your home? Would you show mercy or stand up for justice, even if it meant going to war for your community? Drop your take in the comments. Sometimes all it takes is one person saying, "Not in my neighborhood," to change everything. And if you've got your own wild HOA story or a tale about standing up to a bully, share it. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone, and sometimes that's how real change starts.